Hi gorgeous! Hope you're doing fabulously. Before we get into the video, I wanted to let you know that I did record a tutorial for the style that I'm wearing with my hair today. I've been wearing this in a couple videos recently and so many of you have loved it. Thank you so much for all your compliments. I did record a tutorial that will be coming out for Valentine's Day sometime this week. In today's video, I'm doing an updated version of the Perfect Palette tag. And this tag was originally created by Melissa at I Love Faces 1042 back in 2013. And I'm changing the tag up a little bit with this updated version. Instead of just giving you one palette per question, I'm going to be giving you one palette from the high-end side and one palette from the drugstore side. Oh, and by the way, I'm not including any of the palettes that I talked about in the Perfect Palette number 2 video that I recorded last week because I wanted to give you a whole new range for these questions. So if you're looking for more opinions on palettes, I will have that video linked for you below. First question is best packaging. High-end wise, I love the Lorac Pro palettes and how they package these. They are very thin, sleek, easy to stick into your purse, travel luggage, anything like that. They have a magnetic closure on them, and to me, they're very robust. Drugstore wise, I have really been impressed with the new e.l.f. Prism Palettes. These are fantastic. They come in a very sleek, miniature design, perfect for putting in your purse. I love the color ranges that are within these palettes. They also give you a mirror at the top of it too, a little place to put your brush if you wanted to add one into the palette. Great packaging with this one, and excellent quality with the shadows too. Second question is best color payoff. I'm gonna have to give it to the Viseart palettes. This is the one in Bridal Satin, and amazing pigmentation. I reviewed this one on the channel very recently. I also did a cost breakdown in that video talking about how much each eyeshadow actually costs, and when you break it down, it's actually not as expensive as it appears to be, because when you first look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's an $80 eyeshadow palette. But when you compare it to other brands, it's actually incredibly affordable, and the pigmentation is insane with these eyeshadows. You don't need much. They're gonna last you a long time. Absolutely worth checking out. Drugstore wise, I highly recommend Coastal Scents Revealed 1 and Revealed 2 palettes. The Revealed 1 palette is an exact dupe for the Naked 1 palette. Yeah. And the Revealed 2 palette is an exact dupe for the Naked 3 palette. And the best thing about these palettes is that they throw in extra eyeshadows. So not only are you getting exact dupes of the Urban Decay palettes, but you get more eyeshadows for your money. And the color payoff, superb, excellent. You would not be disappointed, especially for what you're paying for these. And if you're interested in seeing a comparison between the Revealed 2 palette and Urban Decay's Naked 3, I will link that video for you below. I did do a swatch side-by-side comparison, and they are really hard to tell apart. Question number 3 is the most versatile palette. High-end wise, Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. I've been using this one a lot lately. It's great for everyday wear, it's great for dramatic wear. It's an excellent palette with a great shade range in here. It's one that I have been picking up over and over again, and I just love it. And for drugstore, Wet n Wild's Comfort Zone palette. This was the first palette I ever purchased when I first started the Frugal Fridays series, and it has been my go-to ever since. It has a great range of neutrals in here, excellent pigmentation, just an all-around great eyeshadow palette. If you are beginning in makeup, check out some of the older Wet n Wild shadow palettes, not the newer ones, because those have not been so great to me personally. Next question is best palette for traveling, and lately for me it's been the Anastasia World Traveler palette. I have created my go-to combination with this palette, and it's one that I have been absolutely loving, and you have too. Every time I wear it in a video, I get asked to do a tutorial on it, and it's so simple to do. I just take pink champagne, apply it onto the inner half of the lid, fudge on the outer half of the lid, and Morocco in the crease, and it just makes my eyes sparkle. It's such a pretty look. Now from the drugstore, my favorite travel palette is the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells palette, and it's a beautiful, cute little neutral palette. I'm actually wearing it today. Simple, easy, quick, and mine has a couple dents in it. I think I need to get another one here shortly, but wonderful palette. I even sold my mom on it. She loves it so much. So excellent and cheap. Next question is biggest regret, and I have a couple duds to share with you here. From the high-end side, Too Faced Semi-Sweet palette. I wasn't particularly overwhelmingly in love with this one. Pigmentation and all of that was great with the palette. I just didn't like the color range in here, and I felt like it was a little too repetitive within itself. Like they could have had a wider range of colors put in here. I just thought it was kind of blah. Not my cup of tea. From the drugstore side, I was also equally unimpressed with the Revealed 3 palette. And you know, I mentioned the Revealed 1 and 2 palette earlier. I thought this one was going to be really great too, but something about it just wasn't right. I did a review on it where you can check it out more in depth, but I felt like the pigmentation was off, the colors faded by the end of the day. It just wasn't as great as the first two. The next question is best color names. Unfortunately, I don't have any drugstore options to share with you for this category because drugstore brands typically don't name their eyeshadows, at least not in palette form, so it's a little hard for me to pick one for this category. But from the high-end side, Tarte's Holiday Collection from 2015, this is their Light of the Party palette, had some really creative and unique names in here. And just to give you an example of some of them, my favorites were Peach on Earth, Baby It's Gold Outside, Cocoa What Fun, Fizz the Season. I mean, it was just so cute that they went with the winter theme, and all of the eyeshadows were just so cleverly named. Question number 7 is least used. High-end wise, I'm gonna go with the Lorac Unzipped palette, because to me, the eyeshadows in here, even though you get 10, I feel like after you wear them throughout the day, they bleed into one another and they end up looking like the same eyeshadows. I was rather disappointed by that with this palette. And that's partly what's kept me from buying the gold version that Lorac came out with very recently, is because I have fears that it's going to do the same thing that this palette did. So just not one that I reach for. And by the same token, on the drugstore side, the L'Oreal La Palette Nude palette has the same problems that the Unzipped palette has for me. I feel like the colors just bleed together after you've been wearing them for a while. And I mean, the pigmentation is great and all that, it just doesn't excite me, and it's not one that I really reach for. Last question is most used, most loved desert island. And we're gonna repeat one of the questions that I answered earlier with the same choices: Anastasia's World Traveler and Wet n Wild's Walking on Eggshells palette. Go-to, must-haves. Ones that I find myself picking up all the time. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what some of your answers to these questions would be. What are your favorites, least used, biggest regrets? Would love to hear all of your choices for each of these questions too. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.